Everyone's obsessed with the summer cut and the winter bulk. But what if we told you that whole approach is not optimal? In today's episode, we're going to break down what seasonal training is and why that is the most optimal approach for long-term results. Let's talk about it.
So when we first announced we were starting the podcast, I put up a story, what topics do people want covered. Number one request by far was seasonal training and nutrition. So this is definitely going to be a popular episode for people.
I think so. And we've been training now together for almost 3 years. In the beginning, I've obviously asked you a million questions, but one of the answers I found the most interesting, because it contradicts everything that I thought I knew, was about cutting and bulking. So I would love to break that down. Why is cutting and bulking like so misunderstood?
So from what I see, bulking is, all right, we're going to eat more in the winter, put on size. And then cutting is supposed to be, all right, we're going to cut in or for the summer and then get leaned. Problem is, a lot of people, again, from what I see, I don't know what their workouts are or exact nutrition, but they just eat more in the winter. Doesn't necessarily matter what they're eating. They just try to put on weight, but they're not necessarily putting on muscle.
Yeah, like dirty.
A lot of times they're putting on, it's really just extra body fat. They are honestly not putting on much muscle, if any. And then it's the same thing. Then they cut in the summer, and then they just get back to where they were or a little bit leaner. But they didn't put on more muscle. Now they're showing off more muscle. This is just general, but that's what I see on Instagram, social media. It's an excuse to eat more and to get fat in the winter because you don't have to take your shirt off. And then, all right, let's buckle down for the summer.
Yeah, I hear that a lot, mainly in the bodybuilding community. And kind of mainly for men, where if you're super small, or what someone would deem like smaller, and like the actual, I guess, prescription or whatever trainers do, they're just like, oh, you just to put on size, just eat anything, just start eating. Yeah, just start eating crazy.
The blanket statement is, all right, you want to put on muscle, eat in a surplus. You want to lose fat, eat in a deficit.
I think it's so much more complex.
There's way more nuance to it, and the training also needs to match the nutrition. Not only does training need to match nutrition, it also needs to match the goal.
And that's an excellent point, because I think maybe that applies to when you're young. I guess like you're.
I mean, yeah, when you're a teenager, you could get away with a lot of shit.
Growth spurt, and you can eat anything. But I think after puberty and you're over the age of 25, I don't know. I don't see how that can be conducive to health and wellness in general. Just eat.
No, because most people take the bulk too far. And the other thing is, I think it causes eating disorders or low-level problems with eating.
So what's the optimal way of eating and training?
Seasonal.
But
before we go on to that, one thing I do want to mention is a lot of people bulk first and then they cut. They think, all right, I'm going to build muscle, then I'm going to lose the fat to show it. But actually the opposite is better. If you get leaner, then you are healthier and you have a better environment to build more muscle, generally. So the less fat you have, the more insulin sensitive you will be. If you're insulin sensitive, you're going to be able to put on more muscle as opposed to fat.
I think the best results that I've seen in women that I really admire are they look amazing. I'm like, oh my God, you look so good. And I want her glutes or whatever. I want her legs. Those women tend to they start off really lean and then they do like a quote unquote bulk. But the bulk is not really a bulk. It's not dirty in any way, shape, or form. They're literally just eating really clean, just at a higher calorie.
Yeah.
Like a calorie surplus. But not even like an excessive calorie surplus. It's maybe like 200 more calories.
Yeah, you don't need a lot.
It's not like from 1,600 to 3,000, I haven't.
It could be, but it's over a very long period of time.
Yeah, it's not overnight.
All right, so that's a good thing you said that, because people will jump from let's just say 16 to, we'll make up a number, 26. And now you're adding 1,000 calories. That's when you're going to put on a ton of weight, but not muscle. But if you do it slowly and you're increasing a little bit at a time, then you could put on muscle.
So with seasonal training and nutrition, obviously those two go combined. Because, I mean, that's how I've been training now. With
I mean, regardless.
Year two, not year one.
Regardless, the training and nutrition need to line up, or should, if you want optimal results.
Mm-hmm. So what does that look like?
All right, so let's just start from winter.
Mm-hmm.
And so just to give the audience an idea, we are northeast. We are located on Long Island. Winter is going to be dark and cold. Mm-hmm. So this may not apply 100% to someone in Florida or California. So just keep in mind, everything we're going to talk about today, we are in the Northeast. So in the winter, cold, dark, you're not going to be as active. The food's not as plentiful. Mm-hmm. Like you're not growing a ton of crops, vegetables, fruits. So that is the time when you should be lowering your carbohydrates and your calories. Because we're going lower calories, this is when we should be doing fat loss.
Whereas most people in the winter they tend to carb up and eat a little bit more. And then what sucks about that whole thing is that they're usually less active because you're not outdoors as much.
And that's another reason why they're also putting on excess body fat. Especially if you look at the training and they're not really changing the intensity of the training, mm-hmm. and they're just adding in extra calories. Yeah, obviously some people, they'll go to the gym 2-a-days to get their cardio in, but that's not feasible for people.
So eating, we should cut down on carbs.
Carbs
less
and calories.
So what does training look like?
Training could go a couple of different ways, mm-hmm. but we want the overall goal to be fat loss. Now, the question
as opposed to muscle.
Yeah, but now the question I've asked you in the past is, do you want fat loss through nutrition? Or do you want fat loss through training?
I hate that question. It's because, I want fat loss, period. But now I have to pick. Because both kind of suck, right?
So it's either...
pick your suck.
Yeah, do you want to eat a lot less to get your fat loss? Or would you just rather have a higher frequency of workout? Back in January, mm-hmm. when we hit our winter fat loss portion of the seasonal training, my question to you was, is your preference... all right, we're really going to diet hard, and your fat loss results are going to come mainly through nutrition? Or are you trying to haul ass in the gym 5-6 days a week to stay more active, and then we don't cut the calories as severe?
Yeah. And obviously, the question
it's pretty much based off of preference. So, for me, when I did it, I'd rather work out more. Just because of the mental benefits of working out. And I'd rather be active 6 days a week, doing something. Wasn't necessarily like a beast workout, like you would think of a fat loss or HIIT workout every single time. But for me, I wanted to move more just so I could eat enough to get through with a demanding schedule. If I would have did less workouts and cut my calories even more, I would have been miserable. That's why I like to ask people what their preference is. Because I could tell you what to do, but if I tell you what to do and it's not what you enjoy, then who gives a shit?
Yeah, I feel like it's like choosing your suck.
Yeah, that's what it is.
How do you want to suffer?
Yeah.
Do you want less calories through eating less? Or do you want to burn more calories?
Yeah, exactly.
Or eat the same?
Yeah, you don't want to make the mistake of doing both. You don't want to go super low calorie and then 6 days a week hauling ass in the gym.
Yeah, because your output suffers.
Then you are going to crash.
Yeah, and then your workouts suffer, and then you're actually not making any progress in the gym. And I feel like you even plateaued.
You would lose a ton of strength that way.
Which I've actually hit that issue, not aggressively, but I wasn't progressing in the gym. But that wasn't a calorie thing for me. It was just not enough protein intake.
Yeah, but
recovering well.
But once we've done this seasonal stuff, everything's lined up. So while you were losing fat, all your lifts were going up.
Yeah. I chose to eat a little bit less, right? It was a calorie.
No. We were doing 6 workouts a week, I think.
I actually think I said somewhere in between. I want to cut calories, just not dramatically, and then output.
Oh yeah, but based off of the 6 days,
Was clearly more.
I adjusted to so you don't burn out, but and you don't and then you could cut like enough calories.
Mhm. Yeah, and I feel like cutting around that time wasn't super. I don't know. It wasn't as taxing
But
because cutting for me was like 1,600 calories.
yeah,
Like
and for you, I like more days in the gym because you have a desk job and you're not getting up and moving. Especially when it's cold. If it's cold out and dark,
yeah.
you're not moving. I would much rather I would try to get that person in 6 days a week. Now it doesn't mean 6 days of strength training. It could even be some types of cardio and modified strongman, but like just being active 6 days, I think for you, both because of your job and mental, I think that was the best way to go about it.
Yeah. I think I benefit from moving more. I think anyone benefits from moving.
Yeah.
But I think.
But you're more likely to move more when you have an appointment or a class versus.
Exactly.
All right, it's 5:00. That client annoyed me. Let's just skip or let's watch a movie.
Yeah. I also think the mental benefits, like you mentioned before, because I get a little like blue in the winter.
Yeah.
Like, oh, sucks. Like I gotta be home all day, and then
Yeah, and if you've been sitting,
go out.
if you've been sitting around all day, then you come here, you get to use all that energy that was pent up.
And I hate how early it gets dark so early. So I think working out for me just a little bit more, but also again, I'm not going crazy in the kitchen either.
Mhm.
I do have to maintain. Like I have to, for me, like tracking key during the fat loss phases.
The other reason why I like that is obviously everyone tends to overeat around the holidays, so it is a good time to get your fat loss training in during that year.
What's an optimal way of working out and eating in the winter? Like we already talked about that, but like what does that look like?
You want more animal protein, you want more animal fat. It's pretty much protein, fat, and obviously you could have carbohydrates. Like you don't have to take this to a T into an insane level. Animal protein, animal fat, high fat, or more fats than carbs, berries. Like you could do fruit, but I tend to stick to berries, leafy green vegetables.
And when you work out, you're training more because you like the benefits from working out more, from moving your body more around this time when you tend to be more sedentary, right?
Yeah. And again, around the holidays, I tend to add a pound or two. So it is nice to move a little bit more. Yeah. Especially because my fall training isn't as intensive.
I mean, I'm thinking about that now. All right. Obviously, you program for me. So the way that I train, the way that I eat, I stick between some days 1,600 to max 1,900, depending on how much I walk that day. I don't know. I'm not like super dialed in with tracking like I was earlier in the year. It just is what it is.
At least you're honest with me.
Yeah. I'm more or less consistent with the amount of protein.
Honesty, good.
I'm consistent with the amount of protein that I take in, which is minimum 120 grams a day. Between 120 and 150. Okay, with all that being said, fall training, what does that look like versus winter training versus what that looks like spring? Like, I don't understand the differences too much. I understand what's in season food-wise. I understand winter, you want to work out more, you want to go lower in carbs because you're not as active in terms of working out more metabolic, right? And then summer, you're outdoors more, you're moving more fruits, focus on building muscle, etc. Like I understand the gist of that, but what does that look like in a place like New York where we get all 4 seasons? So,
all right, so let's start
fall
from the beginning. So obviously winter, and it's the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the first thing you want to do? Get lean, get healthy. The leaner you are, the healthier you are, the better results you're going to get for the rest of the year, because that's the foundation.
Mm-hmm.
So second thing you want to work on is hypertrophy and building muscle. So with the summer, obviously it's sunny out. More things are growing, more food is available. You're outdoors, you're more active. So you can eat. This is the time you want to eat more. Now, the other thing is you have to think of social life too. You have more parties, more barbecues, more things happening in the summer, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So why do you want to cut in the summer when you have a barbecue every other weekend or every month? and then you're in the corner because you can't eat the dessert there. So if you're matching the training and the nutrition, in the summer, you're doing more intensive workouts and trying to put on muscle. Now you could afford those extra calories. Doesn't mean go bananas and eat as much as you can, but you could afford to eat a little bit more. You don't have to necessarily worry about body fat too much if the training is matching it.
I mean, I understand like the difference between something as extreme as the winter and the summer, right? I don't understand like the interval seasons. Like, how do you train and work out for those individual seasons? Is it more or less the same? Like fall, it would be similar to winter, just not as dialed in.
You got lean in the winter.
Mm.
You built a ton of muscle. Let's just say you did great. You built 5 pounds of muscle. Now we're heading into the fall. Now you're doing more of your strength work. So now, like, your goal could be like, all right, let's maximize the bench press, let's maximize the deadlift, whatever. Pick 2 upper body goals to go after. Now we're cutting back carbs a little bit, just because the season's changing. Now we could change the carb source. So instead of a lot of fruit, rice, things like maple syrup, honey, now we could go your sweet potatoes, your root vegetables, have that, and vegetables in general dominate the carbohydrates. When you're training for strength, it's not a lot of volume and work. It's very intense, meaning it's heavy and it's challenging and it's pretty brutal on you, but it's not a lot of volume for any sort of body comp changes. So you want to be careful and not eat too much. But this is a time where I like to do maintenance.
That's where I feel like I'm at too.
Yeah, so...
And that's natural. Like, it just feels like I'm naturally maintaining.
Yeah, I like to do kind of like a maintenance diet, just change up the carb sources. So again, not to go too far off topic or get away, the other reason why I like the seasonal training and nutrition is every 3 months or so, brain's getting a new hit. All right, I just had rice and fruit and as much maple syrup as I could over the summer. All right, now, because people get bored, now I'm going to do sweet potatoes. I'm going to do my root vegetables, heartier foods, things like that. All right, cool. This is I haven't eaten this way in a while. So now this is new, stimulating, exciting. Now I'm not bored with nutrition. It could even be the same exact calories, but you're just changing the food sources. So I like that for a mental perspective too. But then, yeah, the training in the fall is going to be like your max performance in the gym.
Okay, so that pretty much aligns with what I'm doing right now, which is relative strength. So fixing the areas in which...
and working on your weaknesses.
Yeah, working on my weaknesses in order for me to improve on my main lifts.
Yeah.
Because I max.
And then, now if you go into January... even stronger, if we do any sort of body composition training or fat loss training, you're now using heavier weights and you have higher output. So one of the mistakes I've made a ton of times with people is they come in, all right, I want fat loss, I want fat loss, I want fat loss. So I'm like, all right, let's give them this awful fat loss.
Mistake with me.
Probably. Let's give them the worst workout I could think of. Let's get them to puke, or let's get them crawling out of here. Because people are addicted to that. But if you're using like 10-pound dumbbells, you're not getting that effect. Versus if you're using 50-pound dumbbells, all right, now we're working our asses off. So I have made that mistake before, having people, like they tricked me, and I was like, oh, they're ready for this, which was 100% on me, my fault. Like, they don't have an engine. So if you haven't built your engine, you don't have the same output.
Basically, when you say engine, you mean the foundation. They haven't built the foundation for structural balance, for strength. What does that mean?
That's part of it. But engine, I'm thinking more output. Like if you're weak...
Capacity?
Everything. You don't have the work capacity, the aerobic base, the hypertrophy base, any sort of coordination.
Hypertrophy base meaning what exactly? Like strength? Like, what does that mean?
No, like you need to build muscle too.
And then when you say coordination, you mean like fast twitch fibers to like...
No, just like all right, when you're doing, all right, let's use a squat. You're doing a squat. You have the ankle joint, the knee joint, the hip joint.
Okay.
And obviously everything up here too, and shoulders and everything. But let's just take these 3 joints. These 3 joints have to move in unison. I'm sure you've seen people squat like
terrible.
Or like if I tell them a 4-second eccentric, they pause 1, 2, 3, 4, as opposed to 4, 3, 2, 1, like smoothly controlled.
Basically, like the mechanics is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like the mechanics of the movement.
Yeah.
They have no training. They don't know how to actually do it properly.
Yeah. They can't execute properly. If you're doing a barbell back squat with just the barbell, like that's not super challenging.
I mean,
whereas if now, all right, so let's say the first day you were here, you could barbell back squat 65 pounds for 12 reps. And I threw you right into this, like, oh, I'm going to fucking kick her ass and show her who's boss. That's not going to get as much output or get you as tired as now you could do that. But with, off the top of my head, I think you could do 165 or 175. Oh, no, wait, I'm sorry.
Barbell?
For 12, let's just say now you could do 135 for 12.
Okay.
Which I know you could probably do more.
Yeah.
But that creates way more of an output, way more muscle damage, way more on the lungs and everything. Like way bigger stimulus. So we've done some workouts where like you got through the first set and it was challenging. Maybe you got through the second set, but then the third set you just crap out and you can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
You have to build that work capacity. Otherwise, it's pointless.
Right, I'm ripping into Prismatic.
What is your favorite cheat meal or refeed?
Right now it's rice. Rice and like chicken.
I love rice as a refeed.
Yeah, rice and chicken.
Just eat as much of it as possible.
And like a banana. Is that pathetic? Oh, this is cool. Roaring Moon. Cool. What's one thing you wish more people understood about fitness?
Most people overrate like the results you could get from nutrition short term and underrate what they could do long term with nutrition. So like if you stick to a plan, you can see pretty dramatic results, but most people expect it to happen right away. Oh, cool.
Ooh, a hit.
Most people expect it to happen overnight, and then they give up right before. That's the main takeaway. Have you ever fired a client?
Have you ever farted?
No.
Ooh, this is shiny and pretty. Probably worth it 2 cents.
Probably.
Have I ever fired a client? Hell yeah. I fired a client because they were about to fire me once. It was a little petty Betty. And I've also fired a client just because of how difficult it was to work with them and for my mental sanity. And I fired them in ways like we've spoken about this. I usually increase prices and then they work themselves out.
I do have one where I just said, all right, we're done. That's it. I wasn't taking any other options as an answer. It was, see ya. We are no longer doing business together. What's one marketing mistake you see coaches make all the time?
They care too much about like things that are flashy, like I got to take professional pictures and this needs to look good and I'm got to obsess over this.
I'd say that
font.
happens in the fitness industry too, where they care more about aesthetics, how it looks, versus the impact. What they're actually delivering.
And then vice versa, when the impact is there, and this is actually my problem, the impact is there, everything is awesome, the results are great, the clients are awesome.
And everything is awesome.
Ooh, something, not really a big hit. It's probably worth 2 cents, but I got what? Maximum belt? I got beat with this as a child. What's your content pet peeve on fitness TikTok/IG?
I only got 5 spots remaining. DM me muscle to get into my program.
Or it's like, I'm looking for 5 super fat women.
Yeah, I'm looking for 5 rock stars.
Miserable.
I'm looking for 5 rock stars that want to kick ass in the gym and lose 10 pounds.
That's hilarious.
It just does not speak to me.
I mean, I know why people do it. You're using the sense of urgency.
Yeah,
right?
but the thing, it's never urgent. The reason why you're doing it is because you don't have clients. So there's no urgency.
If you had to double your income in 30 days, what would you do?
I would go on
30 days.
Instagram and say it's super urgent and I'm only taking 10 more clients.
If you could train with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be?
I guess it would be fun to train with Arnold.
Oh,
Like to
that would be so cool.
just see if I could survive.
That'd be so
honestly,
cool.
or that's the only thing that would be fun.
I saw a video of him training with Ronnie Coleman, and I was like, oh man, that is so much fun. Oh damn, another hit. That one's
What?
cool. I don't even want to say his name out loud. Back to the episode. Okay, so fall is basically priming you, correct me if I'm wrong, or from what I understand, priming you, because it's like a maintenance, fixing the cracks, whatever type of season in terms of training. And then for seasonal eating, it's really as simple as eating what's in season, right?
Yeah.
And then for training is fixing the cracks, blah, 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 building that foundation for then come January, winter hits. That's when you really want to buckle down and build strength or it's mainly fat loss. It's fat loss, right? Building the work capacity for higher output fat loss.
It could go many different ways. It really depends on the person.
Okay, what's the most optimal? Let's talk about me and my training.
Well,
I want to know, what am I doing in January?
If someone's already lean,
Yeah.
then they don't need to do the fat loss training. But what they could do is still eat in season, still have a high protein, high fat diet,
Mm-hmm.
and then lower the carbs a little bit, and then just match the calories. But in the winter, you don't need to be eating a 300 to 500 grams of carbohydrates. The reason why I'm saying this, because I know there's going to be trainers listening, this is for Gen Pop. There are obviously trainers who are lean who are going to be able to handle that, but we're talking strictly Gen Pop. They don't need to be crushing hundreds and hundreds of grams of carbohydrates.
Gen Pop me.
Plus, again, mental break. It's nice to have like a different system every 3 months or a different challenge every 3 months.
So, okay, so if you're lean, you're not going to do as much fat loss type training, right? And you're going
You'd probably do zero.
Zero fat loss.
If you wanna
Doing what?
If you want to do aerobic work for health, you can.
Okay.
Or you could do, if you have bad blood work, you could easily do more aerobic stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then you could do hypertrophy. You could do a maintenance on strength. You could really do. The leaner you are, the more freedom you have.
Okay, so
If you have fat to lose, that's when it's like, all right, we got to take care of this now.
optimal to do it during that time.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay, now we're moving from winter.
So again, sorry to interrupt,
Oh,
but
you're good.
I've been working on this for 2.5 years. Hired one of my friends / coach / mentor, Robert Jacobs. Got to give him a shout out for this because he's helped me the most with this. This is mainly a model for the Gen Pop person, but also the ADD client who wants a million things. This is a way to systemize it to get everything done throughout the year and stack on each other. For higher level people or very specific goals, that would override the seasonal stuff.
Hmm.
If someone came in and said, I got 4 months for my wedding, that overrides everything. If someone came in, I have a powerlifting meet, I got to get strong as fuck, that overrides wherever we are. Or like the more specific someone is,
Mm-hmm.
that overrides this. But this model is absolutely beautiful for general pop or someone who doesn't necessarily have goals or specific goals.
So basically, me.
No, you have specific goals, but this allows me to lay it out properly and in order.
It also feels natural because I mean, it was by design on your end, but I also feel like it felt a natural progression though. It's like, okay,
Yeah, because I planned out the whole year for you.
Then that makes sense. But it's like I hit all the max.
It wasn't accidental.
It doesn't feel accidental. It just feels like it flows really well.
Yeah.
For me, it feels very natural.
But if we look at it on the bigger picture,
Mm-hmm.
that's 3 months out of 9 months where you have to suck
Yeah. Whereas
It's
before, when I first started training,
it
first
was
year, it was straight fat loss.
24/7. You were thinking,
Fat loss.
I gotta suck, I gotta fat loss
Fat
this,
Yeah.
I gotta cut calories, I gotta starve myself, I gotta do cardio this, cardio that.
Now I'm actually maintaining.
Yeah.
I have not gained any weight.
No.
And I've just keep progressing in the gym. So I really like this approach because I don't have that yo-yo effect anymore.
Yeah. And again, like periodization is a whole topic in itself that we're not covering.
Crazy. Yeah.
But to give a tiny glimpse into it, you can't do 2 phases in a row of trying to max out your squat. That could be the overarching goal, but that would need 2 separate systems, we'll say.
Mm-hmm.
But you're not going to do the same system twice in a row, because then you're pounding the crap out of your joints and central nervous system. You have to have a little bit of a break. So same thing, like you can't just do fat loss, fat loss, fat loss. You can't just cut, or more work. Like it does not work that way. And that's what a lot of people get stuck with, right? I'm cutting, and then you hit a plateau. Or I'm doing more, I'm doing 3 hours in the gym, or I'm doing 7 days a week. Like you can't
get injured.
Yeah, you can't keep up with that. Or they're trying to do both. They're trying to cut and do more at the same time, and then they get injured, or they burn out, or
all of the above.
Or maybe the scale looks good, but they're skinny fat now, and they lost all their strength, or things like that. So there's a much better way. We need to have everything planned out, and the training and the nutrition match and progress. That's the magic answer.
So now we're in winter and we're moving into spring. What does that look like?
We'll put it under the umbrella of body composition. Body composition could be fat loss if you still have a little bit of fluff you want to take off. Or it could be, all right, we're going to start working towards hypertrophy and building muscle. Now we could add a little bit more carbohydrates because they're starting to come back in season. Like, without getting too detailed, there's a million different ways to add it in, whether it's carb cycling or just adding more in daily.
I even have a hard time breaking down what hypertrophy means. I usually equate it to high reps, right? And
Not
so
wrong.
building, it applies, but it's so much more, which I understand it now. I just have a hard time explaining it.
So
in a sentence, if you can say it for, like, I don't know, 8th grade level, maybe even 5th grade level, what is hypertrophy? Because, okay, so spring, you're saying more hypertrophy, ideally, body comp, right? What does that mean to, like, a normal person?
So more hypertrophy would just be the main focus and stimulus is building muscle.
Okay, so building muscle, hypertrophy. Body comp, what does that mean?
Body comp is just, that could be building muscle or dropping fat. So, like, for me, like, I have all these different distinctions just to be super specific. Like, if we're talking fat loss, we're just, the only goal is to, let's just be super simple, burn as much or lose as much fat as possible. So that's going to be more work or way less calories. If we're talking body composition, that could be a combination of, we're trying to build muscle and drop fat. If we're talking hypertrophy, we're being very specific, where the only goal is to build muscle. And then if we're talking strength, the goal is to put more weight on the bar.
The way that I see it, correct me if I'm wrong. In the gym, all of my workouts are focused on gaining muscle, right? Around that time.
Just to answer that really quickly, every workout can build muscle. Every workout can build strength. Every workout can help with fat loss.
Okay.
But the way coaches or good coaches will program is to be highly specific for that. So I could program hypertrophy for you. You could still get fat loss from it. You could still gain strength from it. But, like, it's more compartmentalizing, whatever you said, the system or thoughts. I don't think that made sense to you. It probably didn't. The problem is I have 13 years of experience in my head, so it makes sense. But when I explain it to you, you have 2.5 years of experience in your head, so it sounds a little bit different.
Yeah, I just learned periodization, all these things, microcycles, macros. Here's how I internalize it and register it. Okay, because I don't have the brain space with running a business and all that stuff. I'm seeing it. When I do hypertrophy type of workout, I'm gaining, as opposed to gaining strength or fat loss in the gym, all my workouts. I'm specifically focusing, in my case, it's like two uppers, two lowers, right?
For the most part.
For the most part. And then I do like fat loss type training styles. So I have upper, lower, right? The main goal and with all of my workouts is gaining muscle as opposed to strength and fat loss, right? But then outside of the gym for body comp results, I'm also eating at a slight calorie deficit and I'm walking a lot. That's how I register spring type training. Does that?
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
That's how I see it.
Yes.
That's how I have trained.
All right. So
that's how I see it.
So the best way to put it is hypertrophy parameters in the gym.
Correct. Outside.
And you could do fat loss parameters outside the gym.
Okay. That's body comp for me. When I think of body comp, I'm thinking of that type of training and nutrition
that's
lifestyle.
A good way to put it.
Okay. That's how a normie registers it.
So fat loss, think I am sucking wind and I am exhausted.
Mm-hmm.
That's that type of training. Doesn't mean you need that training for fat loss, but let's just, that's the code for fat loss style of training.
Okay.
Hypertrophy training, you need to feel the muscle you're using, and we are trying to take that to failure or as close to failure as possible. So for example, if we are doing back squats and you just cannot feel your quads, but the goal is to get hypertrophy in the quads, then maybe we need to change the exercise.
Okay.
We could still keep the same sets and reps. We just might need different exercise selection. It would be more important that you are feeling that muscle and taking it close to failure.
You want to feel like the burn?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when we're talking strength, we want every rep to be as clean as possible. We're not trying to grind it out like we would in hypertrophy.
Right.
So strength is where you might leave one or two in the tank just so you can recover and then lift more the next session.
Gotcha.
So obviously recovery is important for everything, but for strength, you need to be able to lift heavier, or ideally lift heavier.
Which is why when you're training for strength, you usually train less reps and
more rest.
And then you tend to see that, like, say, strongman competitions, they tend to hold more body fat, like, as opposed to bodybuilders.
Because they need the calories
Yeah.
to keep up with the training, but they're not necessarily doing.
They don't care for aesthetics.
Yeah.
Whereas bodybuilders mainly focus on hypertrophy. And then I feel like when you adapt like a seasonal training, nutrition, lifestyle, you're thinking of aesthetics to some extent, but you're thinking of overall wellness. That's how I see it. It's wellness and optimal living, really. Is that fair to say?
Yeah. In my opinion, I think the way it's set up is it just makes it natural and easy. Like, again, do you want to be...
That's how I feel.
Do you want to be cutting in the summer when you have barbecues or you're going out for tacos and margaritas?
I don't want to cut, period, but yeah.
Well, obviously, but then don't get fat.
He's pointing at me.
Winter, how many social events do you have? Like once...
Now, actually.
No. Once the holidays are over...
Yeah.
Are there a ton of social events?
I tend to focus better in the winter. I think that's where they talk about their winter arc, their winter arc. You're building it in the winter.
One thing I do happen naturally, but it works with the seasonal stuff on my schedule, is I do certain continuing education in certain parts of the year, and I pick certain subjects to learn certain times of the year. So fall is usually I don't want to say my least busy because it's still super busy, but fall I could take a little bit more time to myself and work on my business. Summer, I am jam-packed. I don't have a lot of time. I can't take the time out of the gym to go travel, so that's when I focus more on training and hands-on stuff. And then I'll do my courses winter and spring.
That's interesting how it just kind of like falls into place really nicely.
Yeah.
Like in the winter for me, I'm so distracted because I want to be outdoors all the time. And then, I don't want to work as much. I'm not as focused and dialed in. From spring, then you fall into summer, and you kind of already said what to do for summer. But just to recap it in a couple of sentences.
All right, so let's look at it this way. You want to earn your carbohydrates. You want to build your carbohydrates. You could even think of cutting in the winter, lowering the carbohydrates, reverse diet back up, start to introduce some foods back in the spring, and then summer, instead of jumping from like nothing to everything,
Yeah.
you could use spring as a springboard for the summer, and then you could have your highest output because you have way more calories and carbohydrates.
You're probably pretty lean by then, ideally.
Yeah, so then you could handle more food.
You can handle more carbs.
Yeah, carbs and calories because you're lean, and now you're gonna have the output to match the calories.
Yeah, I remember when we first started with nutrition and pinching and stuff like that. I remember when I had to cut my carbs so low because my insulin resistance was pretty high. And now I'm at a point a year and a half later, and my inflammation levels, like when I did my blood work and I showed you, inflammation is amazing, probably the most optimal that I've ever been. And blood sugar levels are great. I notice I can handle more carbs now in general. Now that's just more of a coming to you from a very, I want to say sick, but like an inflamed stage.
And, I'm gonna say it was 100%. You got healthier.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
But now that I'm healthier, I feel like I can ebb and flow with the seasons better. Does that make sense? Yeah. Like now my body's naturally going with, okay, I can handle more carbs in the summer. Oh, I'm going to summer. I'm going to lower my carbs in the winter. That just feels natural to me.
Yeah.
Because generally speaking, when I'm lower carb, I tend to be more focused. That doesn't mean that I cut out carbs entirely. I still have an apple, a banana.
And everyone's going to be different with the amounts they're going to have. And when people say low carb, they always think no carb.
Yeah.
But it's never a no carb approach. It's a low carb.
Yeah, I just naturally carb cycle because I'm more hungry and when I train more.
But then, like, just to wrap everything together, first you get lean.
Yep.
Lean and healthy. That should be everyone's goal anyway. You get lean and healthy. The leaner you are, now you have a better environment to build muscle. Now you've built that new muscle. Now we need to strengthen that new muscle. Make sense?
Yep.
So now if you're strengthening that new muscle, all right, now we go into the winter, even better. Now we have more output. Now, like, you could do whatever you want, but let's just say, all right, now you went from here to here.
Right.
So you're starting here. All right, now I have more output. Now I could get even leaner. So maybe I ended 12%, for male, 12% 2025. Now I could end sub 10% in 2026 and be even leaner, but at a heavier body weight because you put on more size.
Mm-hmm. And I also think it's healthier to think this way because you're thinking in the span of 12 months. Like for me, it took me a while, as you know.
If you have the ability to think in 12 months, you're going to have a way better time getting results versus I got to do this in 30 days.
I also think if you force yourself to even push further and think 3 years, because 3 years now you're thinking long-term lifestyle. Now you're thinking about wellness. You're kind of, that was the case for me, like escaping this whole little rat race of like, I want to be aesthetic or like I want a fatter ass or whatever. Now I'm thinking about my blood work. I'm thinking about being healthy for,
Well, that also tends to happen as people get older, priorities change. It's not just I want to look good in a bikini.
And also, like, you just get a little bit more serious. Like, I'm older, so if I want to have kids, I have to be even healthier because it's harder to conceive. Right? So I have to be super healthy. It's not even, like, average is subpar for me personally, right? So
average is the enemy.
There you go. Average is the enemy. So I think that's a great breakdown. Hopefully that made sense to everyone. But for me, I'm still downloading it. It takes a while, and
I'm still adapting things, but like we're making all these changes in real time. That's why this is not all right. This person's going to tell me what to do, and then I just blindly follow it. Like, we're actively making changes as the years go on.
And that's why I think it's important to think long term in that way. Think about longevity, think about wellness. I think, I would be lying to you if I said I didn't chase aesthetics. I do. It's nice to feel good in your skin.
We all do, but take
it to the next level.
If you really want to maximize, you could pick periods where you chase aesthetics.
Yeah, which is
as opposed to 24/7 aesthetics.
Yeah, and then you're going to burn out.
Driven,
yeah, you're going to burn out like I did. When I was doing the 75 part, I was super
I hate 75 hard.
Yeah, I already know. That's a whole other episode. This was like a good introduction into seasonal training and nutrition. Everything that I've learned so far in the past almost 3 years now. And if you do have any questions, any comments, have you adopted this in your life? Do you know, like, what have you learned? How does this apply to you? I would love to learn and understand from your perspective in the comments below, or you can send us a DM or whatever. Maybe not Nick. He gets no, I'm just kidding. You can send Nick a DM, send me a DM.
One thing I'd like to say to any trainers or veteran gym goers who have been doing this for a while, the beauty of the system is you could input whatever kind of exercise, training modalities, or training system you enjoy. It's not hyper specific. If you prefer bodybuilding style training, that could be your summer hypertrophy. If you like powerlifting, if you like West Side, if you like anything you could think of, if you want to do strongman training, you could easily fit all this stuff in throughout the year. Just change the parameters to make it fat loss or to make it strength. So that's the beauty of it. You could put any system in, or you could just mess around and do a completely different system every season.
Yeah.
So that makes it more fun for me.
Everyone, thank you so much for watching. If you have listened up to this point, again, like, subscribe, please engage with us, comment, send us questions.
Yeah, and any topics you want covered, we got you.
Exactly. Thanks, guys.
We're here for the people.
Bye.